Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Sheldon. Episode 143 is live. First up, we're joined by Terrance McKinney to preview his quick win on the weekend. Got him on Monday morning, so really good chat with Terrance. Always makes time for me. He texts me right after the fight, asked us, said when are we going to do this interview. So I always enjoy talking to Terrance about the win, kind of what he wants next, and he has kind of a date and opponent in mind that he would want to get on, and then kind of what the goal is for next year. And then close things out, just two fighters. I was supposed to talk to Javier Mendez, and then obviously once we were basically scheduled that he couldn't do it again once kind of Volkanovski was in, just with the timing, how hectic it was, so didn't get able to get him. But I talked to Trevor Peek about his fight against Muhammad Yahya. Trevor, coming off that decision, lost to Chepe Mariscal. He said he learned a lot in that one. He's going out to enemy territory, fighting Muhammad, who's making his UFC debut, and Trevor has a lot of confidence he can go out there, silence the crowd, get a big knockout win, and really start to build himself back up the lightweight ranks. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Terrance McKinney, who made quick work just 2 days ago. Terrance, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good, brother.
Obviously, congrats on the win. Like, first off, though, it was a while between when Chris pulled out and getting an opponent. Did you think you weren't going to be fighting on this card then?
I was thinking I wasn't going to be fighting on the card, but my coach told me to stay ready, so we kept training. And then, we ended up getting the opponent, so I was very, very excited about that.
You get the opponent. Like, do you do much research on him, or is it just more about you and the way you fight then when it's such short notice like this?
Just preparing on myself and focusing on my craft and just making sure I'm taking my time and being clean.
You obviously have a ton of power. We know the early knockouts. Was that just the game plan then, just to go out and kind of blitz him early and see if he was really ready to be in there?
I don't think it really was a blitz. It was just like I was just seeing it all. I feinted him with the jab, threw the overhand right. Like I said, I trained all month. I already know the range. I know how to strike. I don't really need to fill out. I already been feeling the striking out all camp. So.
And then right when you kind of dropped him, like, did you know that was gonna be it? Like, you only had to land like a couple ground and pound shots.
I thought he could have called it right when I dropped him. The knee was so clean. But yeah, I knew he was pretty much done. I didn't want him to recover, so I gave him a couple hammer fists. Yeah, that's all she wrote.
Is that knee something you just saw, or like, is that something your coaches told you might be open in the fight? Like, how did the knee kind of come about?
We know he crunches down. He likes to shell up once he sees attack. So we drilled that literally in the back, like literally right before I came out. Like usually I do the rear knee, and we switched it to a lead knee. And
how kind of cool is that? Where you're just drilling it in the back, and then like minutes later, that's how you get the knockout.
Awesome. Just testament to my coaches, and trusting them and just putting God first. And I'm happy about the victory.
Was it hard for you to still like continue to train and like push for this date, even though you weren't certain you were even going to be fighting?
It was hard to keep pushing, but like I said, my coach got my best interest, and they told me to stay ready. So I just didn't get discouraged. I just made sure I was ready, just in case they called or switched it. We're gonna stay active.
And then 20-second knockout and no bonus. Like, were you a bit surprised that you didn't get a bonus there?
Yeah, I was surprised about it. Like, come on, I'm up there with the likes of Matt Sloshersberg, right, and Anthony Rumble Johnson. Like, no one in my weight class has ever done that. So it's all cool though. I don't really care. Hopefully they just book me another fight, and we can get more money in my pocket that way.
How kind of happy are you with how everything played out? Like, didn't even get touched, not much damage. Like, you can get a pretty quick turnaround.
That was a perfect way the fight went, and like I said, I want to fight one more time this year. So it went exactly how I wanted to. I didn't take no damage, and I can get right back in there.
Do you care who's next? Like, would you like to get rebooked against Chris, or is it just kind of whoever they give you?
I'll like Chris Duncan, but like I said, you guys know who I am. I'll fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. So whoever they give me, that's who I'll take.
When is kind of that time frame? Like, is there a card you'd like to be on?
Right now, we're hoping to just get on any card in December. That'd be cool.
Hopefully in front of fans too. You deserve. You should be out of the Apex now.
Yeah, it's just time to be in front of some fans. Yeah, I wouldn't even care if it's last card of the year. That'd be sick to get on there.
With Chris, like, is it just because you spent so long training for him that's why you want him, or is that just a fight you want? Like, what is kind of the reason for that?
It just makes sense to me, and I like the style matchup. And yeah, he keeps saying he won it, so yeah, let's get it. Anyone that keep calling me out, let's figure out. He obviously thinks he can whoop me, so let's find out.
You guys were pretty friendly on social media after he pulled out, just because it wasn't like a visa thing. Like, is there still like a bit of like respect there for him, or like once you kind of sign the contract, does that kind of go out the window?
Yeah, well, you guys know, like I don't got no beef with anyone, but like once this contract signed and once we're in a cage, yeah, it's all smoke.
How do you think that fight would play out between you and Chris?
I think I'm a lot faster. I think I've seen him get rocked a few times, and I'm a killer, and I don't think he's faced a killer like me, and he's gonna find out.
And I saw after the fight, you and Brendan kind of posted on each other's like Facebook or Twitter or something. Like, what was that kind of like to show him kind of that respect, or especially for taking like not a lot of guys would really want to fight you on a couple days' notice like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying. I got nothing but respect to him. Sent him some kind words, and honestly, I actually already knew him. We were supposed to. I was supposed to fight a guy he fought, and he was just giving me some notes about the dude and Adelaide Edwards, who I was supposed to fight in Contender Series originally, but he fell out. So like we got a little history, yeah. And he's just a good man of God. So yeah, I showed nothing but love and wished him the best in his real weight class at featherweight. So
Do you go right back in training, or are you gonna take this week off then?
I'm about to go see my mom, hop back on the flight tomorrow, and then yeah, get back to training.
And for you, like, is it are full time in Houston now, aren't you? Like living there and training?
Yeah, I'm
Or-
full time in Texas now
Yeah.
training.
Oh, how important do you think that's been for your career? Just now, like having that solid gym and like solid coaches and guys around you.
It's been a huge blessing. Like I tell people, just learning from some of the best strikers in the world and continue to evolve. Going to Boxing Reyes gym. Yeah, it's just been a huge blessing. Like I said, training with Travis Luther, just constantly getting the best looks I can. It's been nice.
And for you, like, how important has like Kevin Holland and like Jamal Hill and those guys been that have kind of like taken you under their wing a bit and like been those kind of like veteran leadership for you guys?
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Like I said, like those guys are huge leaders to me, and yeah, I look up to them, and it's just motivating seeing them succeed and just paving the way for me.
Would you want to be on a card with those two?
Nah, I like all our dates to just to be special for us, but I already been on the card with Jamal a few times. But
Yeah.
as for me and Colin, yeah, just have our own special dates.
How hard was that for you to see Jamal obviously win the title and not even get a chance to defend it just because of the injury? Like, you worked that so hard to get that belt, and then it's gone like that.
I was sad about it, but that's sometimes this is the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah, he just got to trust the process that God has for him. So,
Just a couple more things. You get the Chris fight in December. Like, what you say you do beat him? Like, what do you think that does for you? Like, I feel like you're kind of right back in the rankings or getting a ranked guy after that.
yeah, I think we get a ranked guy after that. I'm thinking Diego Fair next year, like January or February. That'd be fire.
What is kind of the goal then for you next year?
Like I said, do what I was supposed to do. I'm just here to make this a lifestyle now. I think I'm more focused than ever, and I think this time when my time comes to get ranked, we're gonna seal the deal.
Is it kind of crazy? You're 2 fights away from 10 fights already in the UFC. Like, I remember not long ago talking to you before the Favola fight, and just after, and now you're already like getting close to double digits.
Like I tell people, fighters fight. I'm really about this life. I really love it, and I'm about getting experience. Cause like I said, my coach told me, we're training for Islam. We're not training for these guys. So it's a lifestyle. That's what I'm here to do. Fight.
Is that something you and Kevin have kind of bonded over, of like always kind of being ready to take these fights and just being active as possible?
Mostly we're just brothers, man. Like I don't think blood can make us any closer. It's just like we click, like we just click. You know what I mean? He actually cares about me. I actually care about him.
Just two more things with Kevin. Like, how kind of frustrating was that for his last fight? Like a pretty close fight against Jack, and like a lot of people thought he won. Like, for you, what you kind of think about that?
It's just frustrating because like people that are watching the fight, they don't really know striking like that. They don't know striking defense. So how are they gonna say who won or not? You watch the fight. Kevin defense was on point. Um, he was touching them more. And if you really watch it, anytime Jack was landing, it was to his arms or the air. and Kevin would fade out towards the side to get away and get a reset. And I can take 10 more back. But yeah, it was frustrating. But like I said, he could have been a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, it was a close fight. But yeah, I had Hollins 2 rounds to 1.
Who would you like to see him fight next then?
Neil Magny like he wants.
Yeah. And just final thing, like obviously a new lightweight title fight this weekend. What you kind of think of Volk stepping up, and how do you kind of see that one playing out? Because obviously that's your division.
Let's hope Volks get it done, but it'll probably be by split decision if he does. Mm-hmm. So I'm going for Volks.
Well, Terrance, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this again.
No problem, brother. Stay blessed.
All right, we're joined by UFC lightweight Trevor Peek, who's back in action at a very stacked UFC 294 card. Trevor, how's it going, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah, fixing to get the day started and get out here and get after it, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you doing this. Like, I was going out to Abu Dhabi. Like, some people are up for that long travel. So I know some fighters I talk to aren't too interested in it. Like, is that something that was just kind of offered, or are you hoping to be on one of these cards like this?
No, I mean, I'm thankful and grateful to be on such a great stacked card. But I was really planning on being at a better position in my career whenever I went and fought that far away from home. There's going to be a lot of expenses and stuff like that. But the flight, man, yeah, I've actually got a flight from Vegas because I got going out there to support a teammate. So I really tacked on an extra like probably 5 hours to my flight time. So I think I'm gonna be in the air for a total of like 20, 21 hours. And I was real discouraged about it and everything, and just like I don't know. And then one day I kind of was just sitting there and I was like, man, there's been so many daggum like 18-year-old kids that's been drafted to a war and had to ride on a plane way crappier circumstances and got shot as soon as they got to where they was going and they didn't even want to go. So I think I can manage to, I think I can get through a flight and go to a pretty island and punch somebody in the face. So it just changed the perspective for me, and I'm really not. The flight's going to be what it is. I'm going to get out there enough time to, hopefully get acclimated to the time and just the adjustment all around. But I'm excited for it, man. It'll be my first true experience outside the country. Went down to Mexico for half a day, but we didn't really do anything. But this will be my first time experiencing anything other than America. So I'm super blessed, super grateful, and excited.
Just quickly, I want to touch on your last fight against Chepe. Like, what do you take away from that? Like, obviously, it was a back and forth, like, kind of war. Like, what do you kind of take away from that one?
Took a lot, man. I took a lot. I got to see how effective his small shots were. His timing was great. His angles was even better. There was just so much I got to see that, I'm constantly going in there and I'm trying to just take your head off the whole time. And, up until this point, it's worked. And, I got in there with Chepe and he was super composed. You could tell he was a veteran of the sport and just in the game. And it was a tough fight for me, but my coach, he was telling me, a couple of weeks ago, Matt Harris, he was like, man, you've handled this loss like a champion. That's the way the best people in the world handle losses. And I was like, well, I needed it. I needed a good grazing, I reckon. So I think I'll benefit from it. I think there's a ton of stuff that I'll be able to take with me for the rest of my life and just touch them, man. I ain't got to kill them. You know what I mean? There's a lot I learned. So I'm thankful for that experience. It was a tough one to get through, for, a couple of weeks. Just had a bunch of stuff stacked on me with life as well. It wasn't just the loss, I mean, I handled the loss, I'd say I handled it really well, but it's, I want to get that one back though. I mean, I definitely, I don't know if I'll have to drop down to 145 to fight him again or what the deal is, but I most definitely one of these days want to run it back with Chepe. I know I can beat him. I think I can beat him right now. I don't think it's a time issue. I think it's a game plan and composure issue.
And then fighting about 4 months later, like, was this about the time frame you're hoping for after that one?
Yeah, this is around the time frame that I was, targeting. And I like to get, I try to get at least 3 in a year. I mean, maybe more if I can, but that's about the time frame I was looking at, and that gets me, which I'm up for fighting again at the end of the year. But that gets me through the holidays with not just having to go too crazy on my diet. But either way, I don't care if I, get this guy out there and they want to put me on December and T-Mobile, then I mean that'll be cool too.
Have you talked to like any teammates or like anyone about how to kind of deal with the weight cut over that long travel and just like how to get accustomed to a different time zone?
A little bit. I spoke with a guy that performance or at the Apex the other day. He does a lot of film work for the UFC and stuff, and he sent me he pointed me to like a hour and a half long video talking about getting adjusted and everything. So I'm gonna watch and study that up, and then I'll probably reach out to a few other fighters that I know's made that kind of journey and see what they did. But I'm gonna go out there. We ought to get there. Let's see, the probably around the 13th, I think, is whenever we'll land there. So it's gonna give me, about 7 or 8 days, which is a little less than what I was looking for. But man, I got to go out there and support El Torres Finney on the Contender Series. Man, I got to be there for him, and it'll give me a. I'll be able to go over to Extreme Couture and train and get some tough rounds, man. Every time I've been over there, there's so many UFC, PFL, one Bellator athletes on that mat, so you're going to get pushed and tested. So I'll be able to get my last week of hard sparring in with some UFC caliber athletes, and more than just I'm excited about it.
And then you're fighting a guy making his debut in Muhammad Yahya, like he's the UAE champion, like he's obviously from that region. So like, how familiar, if at all, were you of him?
I never heard of him until I got the offer, and then we looked it up and felt really comfortable with the matchup, and went with it. And I've been watching a little bit of interviews on him. He's running the mouth a little bit, not nothing too crazy, man, but he's running it a little bit.
Do you normally watch like the people you're fighting's like interviews to hear what they have to say?
I watch a good bit of them. I watch interviews and stuff like that, or just anything to learn about the individual. I mean, I don't just go too head over heels with it, but I mean, my teammate Torres, he's like he's like a creepy stalker or something on all of our opponents, man. He probably knows where Muhammad's grandmother gets coffee at 8 a.m. on Saturday or something crazy, man. He knows everything about all of our opponents. So any little tips or anything like that I need, I always go ask him.
So after you've kind of like looked into him, like what are your kind of thoughts overall on his game?
Yeah, he's got a good game plan. I mean, it's a good, strategy behind his stuff. He isn't real fancy, and or anything like that. But the stuff that he does do, he does very well. I mean, he doesn't, like I said, it isn't tricky. Like the movement isn't, or I mean, the combos or anything isn't tricky, but the way he sets them up and the way he changes his stances and stuff like that can be, a little hard to read. But I mean, we're going in here and just constantly repeat, and just getting the muscle memory to the things that I want to do and the things the habits that he has that I know he'll do and stuff like that. And we ought to be able to get in there and put together a wonderful performance. I'm expecting to get my hand raised, and after I get my hand raised, the whole world's going, did this kid move teams or something? What happened? So I just want to get in there and really perform well for my team of Gogi and all my head coaches and teammates and fan base.
You are fighting a local guy, so I imagine you'll be pretty booed out there. Like, how do you kind of deal with that and like get ready for that? Like going into enemy territory.
Yeah, it fires me up, man. It ain't like that for me. A lot of people will get nervous about that kind of stuff, but I'm here for it. How I seen that last video I watched of him. I seen it about 4 o'clock this morning, and he was talking about the how I was going to be nervous and all this stuff coming into enemy territory, and it was his home turf and all this crap, and I'm just like, dude, you don't know me. You don't know who you're talking to. And he said he's coming for the kill, man. So I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think there's more pressure on him than you in this fight? Like, this is a guy making his debut at home. Like, you're kind of like, if you look at it on paper, like you're going into his home country. Like, I imagine people think like they're setting you up to lose, like because they want these home guys to like win. So do you kind of think the pressure's on him in this fight?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what I was thinking whenever he was talking about the pressure being on me. I was like, dude, we're coming to your back door. You know what I mean? All your people's gonna see you get slapped. It ain't it ain't on me. And it definitely looks like they're bringing me in to lose. But I think Sean Shelby and them know what they're doing. They matched me up with that guy, and they know stylistically it's going to be a good matchup on both ends. And the way I fight and everything, they already know I'm going to give them one heck of a slugfest.
What's it kind of been like for you? Like, you only have 2 UFC fights, but you've kind of become this sort of fan favorite already, just especially with your style. Like, what's that kind of been like for you to see how much the fans have enjoyed watching you fight?
Oh man, it's a blessing. I mean, that's the biggest way I can describe it. It's just such a blessing to see all the support I have, and to be getting recognized literally everywhere, man. I go, it don't matter where I go now, and I constantly have people coming up and taking pictures with me, or I catch them sneaking pictures of me. It's a little weird at times, man, but it's just super grateful. And yeah, I mean, and one of my favorite parts is like whenever the fans come up to me and they're like, thank you, thank you for fighting the way we all want people to fight, and they just, give me a little bit of praise for going in there and being so game, and leaving going out on my shield if need be. So I'm just super grateful for the support.
With Muhammad, like this is a guy that's been finishing all three of his fights. Like, how do you kind of see it playing out? I know when you go out there, like you're always kind of looking for the knockout.
Loose lips sink ships.
Yeah.
I got a game plan, man. I'm gonna go in there and it'll be different. It'll be different. I ain't gonna go into just too crazy a detail, man. But it'll be different. It'll be. I won't look anything like I've ever looked in my life.
Do you put any pressure to, like, have these exciting fights? You just think that's kind of what happens when you fight?
Yeah, I've always put that pressure on myself. As even as much as the win per se is, like, dude, you got to get in there and you got to have a wonderful, exciting fight. You got to just go out. It don't matter. You just got to go out there and just be crazy. And winning's got to be more important. The chaos, the excitement, the everything that the fans enjoy has to be a little bit less important than the winning now. I'm in the game where you got to take the win when you can get it. You can't always just take what you want per se, but you got to take what you can get. And I've never looked for submissions in that cage, ever. I mean, I might have, threw one up if it was there, or tried it if it was there. But as far as looking for them, literally, man, in my UFC debut, I had the Kimura, and like I'm going over with the Kimura, and I remember thinking like, man, I didn't want to beat him with a Kimura. I wanted to knock him out, And then we transitioned. I tried to armbar, and then he slipped out of it and everything. But like, it's not like that for me anymore, man. If you get in there with me, I'm going to finish you however I can get you out of there.
Just a couple more things, like your pressure and just like the amount of strikes you throw, like how important that'll be, and just like because that can overwhelm a lot of guys. Like, a lot of guys aren't kind of ready to deal with someone just being in their face for all 15 minutes.
So do what now?
Like, how important do you think your pressure and volume is? Because like a lot of these guys like have a hard time dealing with someone just being in their face for 15 minutes.
Hell, you can't. I mean, it's a vital part of my game, man. I try to, not give you time to think. It's hard to make reads whenever you're on that back foot and somebody's daggum putting leather and bones in your face. So, I mean, that's just, I've always felt like that, before the cage, long before the cage. It's just always was just, I'm coming forward and I'm gonna hit you, and then you're gonna hit me, and at the end of the day, we'll see who hits harder and who's got a tougher chin. And up until for the most better part of my life, man, I've always been on the winning end on that with that strategy.
What do you think a win here does for you in this division? Like 2-1 in the UFC, especially if you get another finish. Like, where do you think that kind of puts you?
I'd hope it put me on, decent grounds for renegotiations. I mean, I know I got that went, I had that loss, but Jesus Christ, man, I mean, I gained as much of a fan base as Chepe did off of that fight just from my toughness and everything. And I mean, I had so many people that disagreed with me and Chepe not getting fight of the night that night. I give it to Dagum, Taporia and Emmett, but I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting tied up with everything. What was we at with it?
Like, what do you think a win does for you here? Like, you kind of mentioned it there. Like, you hope we're just kind of renegotiating, like, get better footing in the UFC.
Well, I've had two fighters pull out back to back. And I've went through with a fight, one on 8 days, one on 14 days. And then now I'm going, 20 hours away from my home and fighting in, enemy territory. So I mean, I would hope that a win here just puts me on good grounds to get a little bit more pay.
And just final thing, like, I imagine this would probably be it for you this year. So, like, what is kind of the goal then for you next year, fighting wise?
Not to get 3 or 4, but man, my biggest goal is, as far as 2024 goes, is for me and Torres Finney to be on a card together, preferably either in Nashville or Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, I don't but I mean, I don't think the UFC does recognize how big of a fan base I have down in this area and how big of a fan base that boy has. Because I mean, they don't even know him yet, really. But I think they put me and that boy on the card in the Southeast. I think we blow this region up.
Well, Trevor, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, man, God bless. Thank you.